Well, today we're going to work on Hot Donna skid. All right, what you see here is two skids. This one's the one that came out of Hot Donna. I have an SPX part sled. That's where this skid came out of. And after we're done talking here, I'll probably show you a little footage of parting out that part sled. It was out there in the cold in the junkyard, except for it was on a warm day. It was like 45 degrees that day. You'll be able to tell from the video. It was weeks ago now. We're going to make one good skid out of these two. We'll give you some close-ups, but the one that came out of Hot Donna, she's a little rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Ultra SPX skid looks a lot better, and it should because it has 7,000 less miles on it. And you'll probably hear me say that when I show the outdoor footage. So we're just going to do the usual skid stuff. We're going to make sure everything takes grease. We don't have any stuck shafts. Change bearings where appropriate. And then at the end of this video, there won't be any shocks in it because I got to rebuild those shocks. So let's get after it, guys.
Bring you along for the journey.
So I'm out here in the junkyard today, and if you're wondering why I'm smiling, well, it's because a while ago I bought this SPX Ultra Aggressive sled for parts, and you know, it was a 3,000 mile sled, didn't have a motor. I paid an appropriate price for an SPX with no motor, and I'm looking it over, and there is all kinds of stuff that goes on hot patty here. So obviously I've already harvested the windshield bezel off this thing, and let me tip her up and show you what else I'm going to grab off her. All right, with this SPX up on its side, you can see there is an extremely minty looking Xtra10 in the back. I mean, look at the shocks. Holy cow. So that makes me really happy. So you can see I've already got that unbolted. I unbolted it, and I was so happy I had to run and get the camera to show you guys. So I'm going to get that out of there today. And then I started looking at the rest of it. And, well, we don't have any CRC stickers here. And that is clearly the wrong decal. I'm going to rip this front suspension off because I believe it is a CRC front suspension based on these brackets and control arm lengths. And, well, extra parts is always good. So it's a parts harvesting day. It's 40 degrees in Minnesota right now, and it's February 3rd, and it's gross out. But, you know, we're expecting snow soon, and it's going to get cold for a couple more weeks, or so they're saying. So I'm getting after this today. Well, this teardown's been going pretty good. You can see that I got a whole corner off the sled down there. This corner, both shock bolts are seized in the sleeve, which means even though I got the nuts loose, those bolts aren't coming off. So I'm going to have to basically grind the head off, cut it off flush here, pry it open a little bit and wiggle it out. And then the top one, to even get to it, I'm going to have to get the spring off, which I don't even know how that goes. I don't think I can. Oh yeah, these lower radius rod bolts, they're just a pain. The other one, show you there, it's pushed all the way out and still won't come out. I just cut those off. These are junk anyways, and I'm not using this chassis. But yeah, that upper shock bolt up there, that's going to be a picnic. You can see that it's already spread open for me pushing on the bolt, so it's not going to come real easy. Back at it. So I got the left-hand shock out. By some miracle, I beat on it enough that this bolt moved in the sleeve. But you can see, there's no way. There's no way. They must have put that in before they put the belly pan on. And the only way I could get it out was just to beat on the end of the shock out here until I bent that tab over enough I could slide things off. That tells me that it's very likely that this front suspension's never been apart, and those shocks have probably never been off and rebuilt. All right, I'm all done parting her down. All these parts are going to end up on Hot Donna because this sled had like 3,300 miles and Hot Donna had like 10,700, something like that. So everything I pulled off of there that I reuse is much lower mileage. So time to get back to Hot Donna.
All right. So basically, we're gonna keep the rails.
Well, let's do
this one.
Well, I think we're going to keep almost everything of this one. Let's do an evaluation. Let's move the camera over.
All right.
We got two wheels back here that are more than Hot Donna had, so they won't all have nice red covers. Not unless I scrape them up somewhere.
Right. All right. So wheels wise,
we got a lot of bearings to do.
That one's toast. That one's toast.
Well,
toast.
We got to check those over there too.
Yeah, I know.
Which two rails are you going to use?
These.
All right.
The ones that have 7,000 less miles.
Toast. All right. Yeah, almost all of these are. Yeah, these are all junk.
This one's junk in here. This one's not bad. We might just change them just to change them. I don't know. That one's not horrible, but that one is.
That was junk. Yo.
How about up here? Junk.
Yeah, that's junk. Well, that's junk.
Well, it's got
All right.
That whole
7,000
wheel
miles.
is junk.
Yeah, we're gonna change. We're just gonna change all the bearings and all the wheels. They're cheap, right? These bearings are like $2.50 a piece.
Besides, it gives Lonnie something to do.
And we got 4. So how many bearings we got to do? We got 4, 6, 8, 10,
12,
12
14.
bearings. 14? 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yeah. Actually, these two are probably good enough. These never seem to wear out, these top ones.
They're up high.
They're not bad.
Yeah.
I do want to use the springs that came on Hot Donna.
I was
Notice
going to ask, what do you think of the flat spring versus the round spring?
it's a higher spring rate.
Higher spring rate. Okay.
It's a higher spring rate. Now, if we go out and ride and we find out that it's way too stiff, we may pull it in, pull the skid, and change it out. It's an Xtra10, folks, if you're wondering, and they're pretty easy to work on. I'm really happy this moves because this whole torque arm is booger welded. Let me grab the camera. I don't think it is. So you can see this one out of the part sled is, not bad. Not bad. Now check out Hot Donna. She's been rode hard. They put away wet, and there's some extra welds all over the place. It just isn't what I call confidence inspiring. And obviously, we're going to use the shocks from the part sled because they look nicer. If I don't have to refinish shocks, yay for me. So, all right, we're going to start doing wheels, I guess. All right, boys. We're having a good time in the shop like you think. Dennis, you want to point out what you saw?
Well, I went to disassemble a little further and noticed that this one's already, disassembled. Missing the nut. The bolt's halfway out.
That's super crappy. Well,
Wouldn't have lasted much longer.
that's what we're finding on Hot Donna is that kind of thing. It's a good thing we're going through her. So we're still on the Hot Donna skid, not the donor skid. I'm a little shocked. Pun intended. Look at all the resistance, and it's still charged. This crusty looking shock has probably been rebuilt pretty recently.
Yeah,
Probably about the same time the nut wasn't put on the front shock.
true. Like 3,000 miles ago.
Who knows? It's been a while.
All right, so we got the other the donor skid pulled apart on the shock, and this one appears to still be.
It's still charged.
Still got a little bit of charge in it. Yep.
We're rebuilding it though. We got a little bit of a leak.
A little bit of a leakage there.
So she's going to come apart, get resealed and refilled. That's basically what a rebuild is.
Right on.
So we're just going to keep going.
You're okay, Hope. Good man. You've been in here.
All right, the air hammer's out. You guys know what that means. This bolt is just turning, but it ain't sliding that way. It's seized in one of these bushings. So we're going to give it the air hammer experience, and if I got to buy a new bolt, I got to buy a new bolt. I got to buy a new bolt. Oh, she's pretty rugged there.
Wow.
Yeah, moving.
Yeah, this one is. But like I said, if I got to buy a new bolt, I got to buy a new bolt. There you can see it spinning. I'm just backing the nut off a little so I can use it as a guide to keep that air hammer in it.
Little pocket.
Ready?
Yep. It moved it about eighth of an inch.
Not much.
Nope.
I don't even think that much.
I think it seized into the sleeve in here.
Yeah.
All right, so we were just spinning the sleeve, basically, right?
Yes, spinning the sleeve in the bushing.
It's moving. It's moving, just not much.
It seems like the air isn't all the way on. Well, Dennis had an idea earlier that we're going to do.
Squirt, squirt.
Squirty squirt.
We'll come back in 20.
Yep, we'll let it sit. We're going to keep working on wheels and stuff. All right, so we got a stuck shaft. It rotates. If I put a vice grip on these collars, it rotates in here, but these collars, the aluminum's seized to it. It looks like it's a steel shaft, so steel seizes to aluminum, but let's see what this does.
More ram jam.
I think it moved.
Whoa.
No.
Safety glasses.
Safety third.
Come on, buddy. What, do I got to drill a hole in the head of the bolt?
Nope.
Nope.
That one's kind of saying
Did not
denied.
move at all.
No, hang on. There was shit flying out. But
This
Brad
is
had
the
a good
opposite,
point.
though.
We're going to heat this thing.
Come on, baby.
You got all the rust coming out.
Respirator.
All right.
Here, that's hot.
That's hot.
That's hot. Need the vice grip. Wasn't that hot, but it's hot.
It's hot.
Look at that pile of dust.
Yeah, hell. Wow.
Yeah, that's the good one.
But look, the shaft isn't. Well, it doesn't
boy.
matter if the shaft's seized or not seized. It only matters if we can get the
seized.
wheels off. So let's give it a little more. Actually, give me that collar back. That was nice because it was keeping the old hammer from walking around so much. Okay, we ready?
Oops.
I think we've reached the end of travel.
Nah. All right, maybe.
Yep,
Other side.
for sure.
Yep. Oh, now I'm.
Oh, now you did it.
Nah,
Bent the collar and everything.
it's fine. It's just a spacer.
Yeah, these toes. Rah, rah, rah.
Just a spacer.
All right, we're
turn the whole
gonna
skid
get
around.
this thing out somehow.
Yeah. I'm gonna drill a hole in the head of the bolt.
I still got more to grind.
All right, what is going on here?
Cutting the bearing on.
Throwing sparks.
You can see I'm wearing all the YouTube approved safety gear.
I was wondering where your leathers were.
Safety third.
Yeah, that's stuck. You can still see it.
Yeah. But why? Why is it so flippin' stuck?
Careful.
I mean, we moved it a lot, but I'm being careful. Yeah. So, I mean, at a minimum, I'm going to have to put this in the lathe and polish my shaft.
You know.
But there we go.
Sometimes you gotta really
Want it?
destroy.
This is pretty destroyed. We sacrificed the wheel. Luckily, I have plenty of wheels.
And that bearing, Tommy could have used it.
You still might want it.
All right.
I hope that makes the video.
Oh, that will.
Yeah, and the bolt's still good.
Well, yeah.
Hot?
So, finally, I made a new bolt. And I drilled a hole in it on the lathe so that I could get that out. So now,
There we go.
ta-da! Now the other one's still stuck.
Yep.
Or did it move? Oh, no. See, the other one's not stuck. Why was that one stuck so bad?
Well, that corrosion out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to polish it up in the lathe. Now that we got the one end out and we got the shaft freed up-ish, I am gonna get this off and clean it up just so we can anti-seize under
What's
it.
with the little torch?
Aluminum. We're gonna expand the aluminum, which is what we should have done at the very beginning. That was Brad's idea, and Brad was right. So,
I'm calling his wife and telling her that.
you can't convince Brad's wife he's correct. That doesn't happen. I'll have to edit that out now. Now I have to edit that.
All right, so how long are you going to warm this up?
Until it's so hot I burn myself.
Okay, that's a good level.
I don't know, that's probably enough. We just got to get the aluminum hot so it expands.
You know, bam. There she goes.
Apparently that was long enough.
No, don't grab that.
I will grab the far end of the shaft, but I'm not touching the aluminum until it cools off. Look at this, Dennis.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a little corroded.
Well, that's what the other side had. That's why
Yeah.
the plastic seized. So if I would have been a genius, which I'm clearly not, I would have stopped and polished up the end of the shaft before I tried to slide that wheel off.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So, oh well, live and learn. All right, so I'm gonna pry this over a bit. I'm gonna cut this off right here, close as I can, without getting in the shock. I'm gonna cut the head off here.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna pry this one off.
Be able to cut it.
And then I'm gonna cut it right here, and then we'll just gently spread this, just gently,
Yep.
to get it out.
Right.
And then that bolt's seized in the
Good
shaft.
plan.
So
We got her.
there we go.
I'm going to push it in for you.
All right, now I just got to get those bolts out of those rods. But the main thing is,
Gently.
I should be able to ever so gently spread this apart. Get a little screwdriver in there.
Oh, damn it.
Come on. There we go.
Puppies. Move.
All right. So now this sleeve in the middle of the bushing here,
There we go.
that's junk.
Well, this is junk.
That right there is junk. And I will have to make a new one up, which I can make out of stainless. Look at how nice this shock is, though. That's nice. Is it still charged? Let's find out. Oh, boy. Hardly needs to be rebuilt.
But it will be.
I'm going to rebuild it. Yeah, we got to reseal it.
Don't forget it. Oh, yeah.
All right. I think that's as far as we got to tear it down, other than rescuing these out of here.
Yeah.
I think we're done.
Well, that one's out.
There's one. We'll get the other one out, too. It won't be a big...
Well, we got a pile here. And we got a Lonnie here.
Yup.
So, see you tomorrow.
I'm getting in my element, man. I'm getting into my element. Claim the story.
All right, so we're wrapping her up for the night. The video's not done. Don't go anywhere, but we're just going to wrap her up. We're going to give you an update of where we got. So, Lon, you are the bearing master.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we didn't have the right size bearing for the larger wheels. So,
Yeah, those take a 6004 2RS or a 6004 LU.
yeah.
6004 is the size. You want a sealed bearing.
Yep. So, but I was able to get the 4 red ones back on because we want those to go on.
Yep. And they take a normal 6205.
Yep. And then I got 4 more. So that's 8. 4, that's 12. And then the 2 that are still on there, that's a skid worth.
We think so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We should
Yep.
be good.
So there we go. So while Lonnie was doing that, I got back at the skid and I got all the Zerks to take grease. I'll tell you the trick I had to do. This shaft and this shaft really didn't want to take grease. So I put the grease gun on, I kept pressure, and I gently heated it with the torch. And it got, all of a sudden it got warm and the grease just went in. Same with the bottom shaft down there. So everything took grease that needs to, and it's all blown apart. Obviously I'm going to have to find one bolt. I still got to get these stuck bushings out of these rods, but that's not a big deal. I think they'll come out. So that's it. That's where we're leaving it tonight. But like I said, the video's not over. Say goodnight, Dennis.
Good night, Dennis.
Good night, Dennis.
Good night, Dennis.
Good night, Dennis. It's now mid-March, and the reason why it's still sitting here exactly the same is because snow season came and went. I think I'm going to get back at this thing today. We're definitely going with the skid on the right, as you recently saw in the video, but I'm getting refreshed on this. And I think my next step is probably going to be to get these shocks rebuilt. Seems like a good idea to get the shocks in before I start putting the wheels on. So, unfortunately, I swore an oath of secrecy when I was taught how to rebuild shocks. Yeah, the guy that taught me for some reason, doesn't want me to do a YouTube video on it, even though it is literally in the factory service manual that you can get for free on VintageSnow.com. So, if you want to learn about it, go there, and there's probably a million other videos where guys show you how to rebuild shocks. But I'm going to get after the shocks right now, and then I'm going to start rebuilding the skid. Lonnie's got most of the bearings and most of the wheels, but these on the rear axle were smaller 6004 size bearing. So I do have a few to tap in. And I don't know, we're going to get right after it, and I'll bring you back when something more exciting is happening. So this shock rebuild just got really complicated. Well, a little more complicated. See this pitting? I've already cleaned it up and Scotch-Brighted it, and it's catching my thumbnail super bad. As that slides through the seals, it's just going to tear them up. It's going to shave the material right off, and this thing will be leaking in no time. And as you can see, before I cleaned it, it had clearly been leaking. So that means I'm either going to replace it if I have one in stock that's an exact match, or I'll make one, which you guys have already seen a video of me making one if you've been around for a while. But just one more thing. Even the most minty looking shocks, they can sometimes have some bad problems. All right, I'm not going to show you how to rebuild it, but I will just show you in process. So there, I've blown the, I've discharged the nitrogen, and she's foamy in there. The IFP, I could tell, is all the way at the bottom. And there's the rod and the cap. The process goes on. So I dug into my stash of parts that I bought on eBay and came up with the perfect match. So that's great. I will keep this old one as a reference in case I ever have to make one for some reason without a shock apart. I don't know why I'd do that. I'd pull the shock apart. I have to pull it apart to change it anyways. But I'll still keep it as a reference. Xtra10 rear track shock rod. All right, rear track shock's done. And as you can see, charged with 200 PSI. So I used argon because I have argon. All it needs to be is inert gas. There'll be all kinds of weird internet arguments about heat transfer. You're not transferring heat out of that little gap between the IFP and the end of the shock. The heat gets transferred up here where the oil is. In reality, the argon might be a better choice. It's a bigger molecule. It'll leak past the O-ring on the IFP at a slower rate than the nitrogen. That's what I think. You do whatever you think, but that's what I'm doing. All right, onto the front track shock. By some miracle, there's no pitting on this shaft, and it's not in too bad a shape. Looked really bad when I first pulled it out, but just some rust from the spring. I think, Polaris using these on these front track shocks, that's probably what saved it. But still needs a rebuild, so I'm going to go do that. I'll be back later. Front track shock's done. Charged. Here, let me show you. Fully charged. Ready to install. Well, I just noticed I still got some stuck parts I got to deal with. There's little bushings right in here. And I did get it moving with the air hammer and this hammer bit, but I can't get it out. So, made this in the lathe. Honestly, a guy could do it with a grinder and a drill, but should take it right out. Let's find out. There we go. Well, that was a thing of beauty. I must have ran it back and forth 5 times with the hammer bit and it never moved. Well, it moved, and it'd go back and it'd go back, but I couldn't get it out. So, let's try this side. Well, there we go. As long as you can figure out where your part landed, you're good. I like that tool. Could have made the shoulder a little longer, but nah, it did what it needed to. This sleeve is actually breaking. That's all that went bouncing around. I thought it was the whole thing. Look at this. It's so rusty that it's breaking off when I try to grab it and spin it out. Great. Guess I'll make a new one. All right, well, better than making them. I just went to the parts skid. The parts skid provided. Check this out. I had to do a little die grinder to clean the rust out of these bores, but they go right in now. Good enough anyways. We'll grease them up real good and good to go. All right, it's been, 6 weeks since I worked on this last, but I'm anti-seizing the shit out of this because the battle to get this shaft out has still left me scarred for life. It sucked. So let's get this thing together. All right, now we need a couple wheels with spacers on them. Ooh, this one was not rebuilt. All right, I've located the hoard of spacers from when Lonnie rebuilt these wheels. Need a couple wheels. Those are the guys. That is not seated. Need my channel hammer. There we go. Ah, yes. That was the issue. Plastic spacers were not seated. All right, these wheels look good. Brand new bearings. Seems about right. All right. Good progress there. Going back together finally. Suppose limiter straps are next. So here's the thing I just learned. Some of you have no doubt known this forever and a day. But the way to get all this together, it's to take out this pivot back here that goes here, swing the whole thing up, and do it outside. And then you can get that pivot back into its home pretty easily. Much more easily than ever getting that bolt in between the frame rails there. Time to get the Hypax off. I got the screws out already. Just like that. All right, so here's the old slides, and as you can see, they had some meat left in them. And if this sled was going to get a used track with rusty clips, well, I would have left these on until the clips cleaned up. But it's not. It's going to get a brand new ripsaw track. So that means new slides. So good old profile 11s fit, and I just took the screw and ran it through the hole just to hold it where it's going to go. Marked it. I always mark it a little bit short. Same thing back here. Marked it a little short, and good old Sawzall with the wood blade, and I'll have some custom fit slides. There is a victory beer for a job well done. So Hot Donna skid is ready to bolt in. Shocks are rebuilt. Every zerk took grease. Every bearing's been replaced, except those two. Those two just never seem to go bad, so we're going to let them ride. New red slides on it to match the 99 XCR red. I don't know what else to say. 6 weeks in the making, but it was actually just one evening and one afternoon's worth of work. I've just been busy for 6 weeks. But it's great that it's done. And one more thing off the checklist. I imagine the next thing I need to do is get the chassis pressure washed and get the front suspension rebuilt and back together. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. The motor, as you can see, still waiting to work on that. I've been busy. So, anyways, I want to thank everybody for watching. Please hit subscribe. Subscriptions are free. If you think you're subscribed, please double check, because YouTube, for some reason, randomly unsubscribes people. I don't know why. Huge thanks to everybody that's given us a super thanks. And you can see their names up on the screen right now. This is everybody that's given one in the last week or two. And, of course, a giant thanks to the patrons. Really appreciate you guys. So the patrons are the big supporters of the channel, and they really keep us going even through the off season. So the deal is they went over to the Patreon and joined up. It's like a YouTube membership, but it's off-site. And they joined at either the $5 or the $10 a month level, which helps support the channel with the beer and the pizza and the parts and everything else we do. And in return, they get to see all the videos early. They get to watch them ad-free over on Patreon. And they get their names up on the screen, as you can see. So, patrons, huge thanks to you. So, with that said, I think we're too late to say pray for snow. So, I guess I'll just say, see you at the swap meets.